We are just a few days away from Saudi Arabia, Night of Champions, WWE, the next Peacock event for this month of June. I mean, we had Money in the Bank already. Mm-hmm. Now we get a double dose this month. So they seem to be coming almost every 2 weeks now between Saturday night main event and between the monthly pay-per-view that, I mean, I still call it a pay-per-view because of back in the day.
They still probably call it like that because I think on the WWE website it says pay-per-view events.
Yeah, totally. It does. So either way, we are just a few days away from this. So it is time to turn our attentions to this past Monday night's Raw is War episode. And starting right off the bat, I was happy because something I've been clamoring for since his Money in the Bank victory happened, which is Seth Freakin Rollins came and got on the mic. You might remember the day after he won, we got the John Cena CM Punk announcement, and Seth just came out at the end of that segment and held up the briefcase while his music was playing. We covered it here, and it was fun, but he did not get on the mic. And then, if you remember last week, he showed up at the end of Uso's matchup on the Fatal 4-Way match, and CM Punk, once again, I think, Cody Rhodes showed up there and stopped him from getting involved and punishing Jey Uso for his victory. So here we are. He finally comes out and takes the mic. And, you know, I guess reminiscent of John Cena that we've seen, he kind of is, according to the headline here at least, he's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Are you buying that, Nika?
Sure, I buy it. He's playing the long game.
He's playing the long game. Yeah, he definitely is. More so than Naomi seems to be with the women's briefcase right now.
Naomi was ready last week.
She's been ready the last 2 weeks, and she's been trumped by Nia Jax after putting Tiffany Stratton in a little bit of a vulnerable situation both times. Naomi gets no cooperation from the former women's Queen of the Ring. I think the last time it happened, it was Nia Jax.
It was. She lost the belt to Tiffy. Now Tiffy is on the ropes.
Well, and it's just funny how these mini feuds start within like a greater feud. Like obviously all the ladies want the hardware around their waist.
Of course, who doesn't? All ladies want hardware. Come on.
Bling bling bling.
Exactly.
But nevertheless, the jockeying for position here, it seems to spin off these little smaller rivalries, and it seems like almost like Naomi and Nia Jax are going to be destined at a future date to toss hands, you know, maybe as soon as Evolution or something like that coming up.
I wonder what will happen at the end of Evolution, because I feel it's a setup to come out with really odd pairings at the end. Or some
100%.
rivalries that we don't even think about right now.
100%. Well, this was the last Raw, by the way, before they go to Saudi Arabia, and Smackdown, of course, is being taped in Saudi Arabia as well. So as far as like storylines and things happening, this is it before we get on Bon Voyage and go overseas. So yeah, Seth Rollins comes out, gets on the mic. You know, I didn't hear anything new here. Gotta be honest. I would have liked to have maybe gotten some new material, but it did seem like a little bit of a recycled speech. And maybe that's why he hasn't come out in the last couple of weeks, is because they didn't really have anything new for him written to add to the conversation at this point.
Maybe his writer quit.
Something happened. No, I don't know.
Or they need a new one.
But I think I'm glad we finally got to hear from him, no doubt. He's one of the most entertaining performers right now in the industry. And, you know, he calls out the audience to their face, like saying how you cheer and sing my music, and like almost on cue, the audience cooperates.
Of course.
And he's like, so he's right about that. And then he's like, then you boo me and trash me for the things that I actually say. And so it's fun. It's great villainry in the WWE when you can get the fans sort of to play along and be on your side sometimes, and also know that you're a villain and know you're the bad guy.
Of course.
It's like Star Wars fans who root for the Sith.
Sure.
You know, I know of some of them that actively exist. And, you know, there's some people that want to see the dark side win just so we get more exposure to it as a subject.
It's high drama. That's what sells. It's theater.
Well, that's what the WWE is doing right now. And so, anyways, we had to see Seth, and we got this caption, this slide from the WWE social media team on top of it here. Nico, what's your caption for this? What are you going to throw into the mix for this picture of these two?
John Heyman looks like a happy camper.
Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman.
John Heyman. He's on our naughty list too this week, by the way. So maybe they are siblings, long-lost siblings.
Maybe, but hey.
That's hilarious. Paul Heyman and John Heyman making waves in the same week.
Crossover. MLB, WWE crossover.
It exists.
In the executive level.
Well, John Heyman is definitely the villain of MLB right now, at least to 29 teams.
Sure.
Paul Heyman is definitely a villain in WWE, so they have that in common.
There you go. Good villain.
I'm going to stick with the Star Wars theme here and go Darth Vader and the Emperor. That's what I would caption this picture.
You know, I didn't go into Star Wars realm, but yeah, that's a good caption.
Thanks. Thank you. Well, nevertheless, the one thing that is good about this is we do get the reminder that Seth Rollins has that briefcase and can cash in at any time. It's one of my favorite parts about this. I've really enjoyed actually Naomi running in, trying to cash in and being anxious about it.
She was ready.
Seth is sort of playing the long game. It makes me feel like his cash in is going to come at a very strategic and maybe almost overlooked moment.
That's possible, sure. And Paul Heyman might be the key to unlocking that.
The architect. Well, either way, these two have a lot of work ahead of them. They have a cash in to plan for, and I think they're going to get it. You know, I think he's going to win whatever cash in opportunity he chooses.
For sure.
Get ready for a title run here from Seth Freakin Rollins. You heard it here first. All right, well, moving Raw right along. This opening segment did lead into the Braun Breaker versus Penta match, and this was not for anything other than, I guess, maybe they had unfinished business from Money in the Bank still, Nika?
Yeah, it's a fallout from that.
Seth Rollins, of course, called in the reinforcements during the Money in the Bank matchup, and just like good henchmen that they are, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed both showed up on cue, and Penta received some punishment along with LA Knight and everyone else involved in that matchup, including El Grande Americano. This matchup was going down, and it was a good match to kick off Raw. Penta's always exciting. I'm sure Zach Nito was watching beforehand if his game hadn't started yet. Yeah, that's an inside joke for you MLB fans who know of Zach Nito's connection to Penta. If you don't, check out our shorts section. We got one in there about this for you. But moving on, Braun Breaker was able to hit a spear here as Penta was coming off the ropes doing one of his signature high-flying moves. So after all the theatrics and all the acrobatics, we get this kind of sudden finish here out of nowhere.
It was quick.
And that was a good stunner that he hit there, and he sold it.
He did sell it, for sure.
Anyways, Braun Breaker wins this match. Didn't really need a lot of outside interference help here. We didn't have any like interference from Heyman or Seth Rollins, but Seth Rollins did send Penta a message at the end of this match. He looked at him and he said, "Stay out of it. My business," or something.
Stay out of my
lines.
business. He did say it. I was curious because he didn't make him choose sides or didn't ask him. So he already has his crew picked, Seth Rollins.
Yeah,
so,
it makes you wonder, are they done? Are they going to add more pieces? Are we going to see Becky join them eventually? Because they do reference each other from time to time. And
I think she referenced him more than he does her.
Yeah, I know they used to be together, but either way, I'd like to see some female brought into the mix as well, because
female enforcer,
very, very male-dominated posse right now, and I just think WWE works better when there's a mixture.
For sure, I like that idea. You know, she's a badass. Why not join forces with her husband?
Yeah, and a title holder right now.
Yeah, exactly. Make it more interesting.
Indeed. Speaking of the ladies, we had our second Queen of the Ring semi-final match on Raw after we had our first one on Smackdown Friday, and that's where Asuka got the win over Alexa Bliss. We were kind of surprised by that one. Nika and I both took Jade Cargill in here in this matchup against Roxanne Perez. She's one of our fan favorites, and it's easy to see why in the picture, right, Nika? She's got the guns.
She does.
She's got the physique to bring to the table. And
she's a gladiator woman.
She looks like it. She looks the part, I guess.
Definitely.
Not that we don't need a mixture, but I like the fact that she is not afraid to bring the big guns out, as they say. And I was actually quite surprised with the outcome of this match, Nika. It was Jade Cargill defeating Roxanne Perez. She is headed to WWE Night of Champions as she defeated Roxanne Perez to advance to the final of the Queen of the Ring tournament. And I want to say, before we get too far into it, I was really surprised that no one from Judgment Day came down and got involved in this matchup.
That is surprising, but based on the previous matches, they all have been clean.
Yeah, they seem to be getting more of
Typical
no more
match.
outside interference, whereas all those fatal four-way qualifier matches had a lot more outside interference involvement because there was no rules, I guess.
Right.
Well, here, Jade gets a clean win over Roxanne, and this was an entertaining matchup. I see why a lot of people feel like Roxanne gets snubbed a lot is because technically she is really good. She does come across as someone that has enough savvy, I guess, to have the nickname The Prodigy, if you will. She does seem very technically sound, but Jade Cargill definitely has the power boost, I would say, over her when we just look at the two of them side by side. Ultimately, I think the right woman here won in this instance. So I'm really glad Jade got the win. I really thought Roxanne might figure out a way to sneak in a dirty victory. And so I'm glad they left it clean, actually.
Yeah, me too, because I did not care for Roxanne's brand of wrestling. The cat and mouse play around, I really didn't care for it.
So
I understand she was outmatched in the physical realm of physicality against Jade. So she had to use anything she could for her advantage. I just didn't care for it.
I feel you. Like I said, I felt like I wouldn't have been shocked if WWE would have let her use those very skills you're talking about, the avoidance, the slippery, like I'm going to play cat and mouse with you and somehow have her squeak out a win by sort of brains over brawn,
Sure. But would that lead to a good fight in the finals? Maybe. I don't know.
Right. It's all about who can put the most entertaining show on for the people in Saudi Arabia, for the Night of Champions event in general. And there's going to be a lot of chatter about it. We're going to have our Night of Champions predictions coming up. So we're going to let you know whether or not it's going to be Jade Cargill or Asuka taking home the Women's Queen of the Ring Championship this year. All right. Maybe it's not a championship. Maybe it's just a title, but
it's a title and a chance to be a challenger to a belt.
It is. And before we move on completely from this subject, is it possible that we got a little tease here of who that winner may be? Because no spoilers, but Asuka was backstage in one of her masks. And well, first she did come out and her and Jade did a little stare down to, I guess, preview the matchup for Night of Champions, but it's going to be Asuka versus Jade. And after that, we saw Asuka with Io Sky backstage, and they're both from Japan. Io Sky, of course, is the women's world heavyweight champion. I don't know if it's the heavyweight. I mean, she doesn't look like a heavyweight, but it's like Gunther's version of the title. It's not. Tiffany Stratton has John Cena's version of the women's belt, and Io Sky has Gunther's version of the women's belt.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And then just Becky Lynch has the same championship as Dominic Mysterio does for the men. So just all things being equal, if Asuka is able to pull off a victory on Night of Champions, may she go after Io Sky here? It seems like they were maybe teasing this matchup in the future.
Yeah, it seems that way.
It does.
The only problem is Jade.
Jade's going to have something to say about that. But we will
imagine.
not be talking predictions just yet. Let's save it for the predictions segment.
Gotcha.
Let's keep Raw moving. We had a women's Intercontinental Championship matchup, and it was Becky Lynch defeating Bayley via disqualification here, Nika.
And guess who shows up?
Of course, Lyra Valkyria.
I am so sick of this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is what I was kind of alluding to earlier during the men's segment with Penta and stuff. Like, this is sort of like leftovers, right? And it seems like this feud is sort of spun off of that feud where now you have Bailey has a legitimate bone to pick here with Lyra because Bailey was, for all intents and purposes, about to land one off the top rope and pin Becky Lynch and get the win.
Potentially.
And Lyra, of course, potentially. And then Lyra kind of just jumps in. You're going to see it here in the second picture. Bailey posted this on her own account, and it was also shared by the official WWE account. But you can see her giving basically that's the WTF shoulder shrug. Am I not right about that? That's basically saying, what the F? Like, why are you interfering in my match right now when and Bailey, for all intents and purposes, did a good job of keeping her cool here. And I'm surprised she didn't have more of a harsh reaction. But this alliance, whatever it is between Bailey and Lyra, is definitely very fragile right now. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them throw down in the future.
Yeah, I don't see this alliance manifesting to anything, honestly.
No, and it's going to turn into a feud, I think. And you got in my business, you got in my business. And
well, that's what WWE is all about.
Getting
Drama.
into each other's business.
Exactly.
Well, business must move on. Becky does maintain her Intercontinental Championship, and we predicted that.
Yeah.
She's definitely going to have to do some kind of title defense, I think, though, at the Evolution event coming up in July, because she mentioned that event specifically in her post-win press conference when she first won the belt back at, was that Backlash? Or was it at the Money in the Bank? It was Money in the Bank. Sorry, my bad. It was a rematch from Backlash.
Yeah, there's a lot we've been watching.
Yes.
So.
All right. We had Judgment Day.
Oh, yeah.
And we had this sort of manufactured rivalry that kind of came out of nowhere. Judgment Day was backstage, and they were kind of bumming around because Liv Morgan is injured. She's going to be out for probably about 6 months, we've heard, due to that separated shoulder. That's awful news. And she was also involved in kind of a lot of storylines right now. So
she's on the shelf.
And no word exactly on how they're going to potentially use her to resolve those ongoing storylines, or if they're just going to like reignite them when she comes back eventually. Who knows? But I think they were looking for something for Raquel Rodriguez to do. And she is one half right now of the women's tag team champions with Liv Morgan. So she needs something to do. And Judgment Day was bumming around backstage. And I believe Rhea Ripley got involved in that fatal four-way women's matchup. And I think that was last Monday on Raw with Stephanie Vaquer. And that was the match that Asuka won. And Raquel Rodriguez was in that match. And anyways, so backstage, Judgment Day says, they get the pep talk going, and they basically decided for Raquel that she was going to go out and call out Rhea Ripley for getting involved in her match. And so this is what happened.
You go get her, basically.
Rhea Ripley responded. She came out, and that's when also sneaky Roxanne, we talked about her. Interesting, no one came out and helped her in her match, but she came out and helped Raquel here gain the upper hand over Rhea Ripley, and you see the result. Rhea Ripley was tossed through the obligatory Slim Jim table, as I'm calling it.
Promotional table.
Yes, they must get their ad time in. They must get that table out, and they must have somebody go through it. This week's winner was Rhea Ripley. Congratulations, Rhea. You took it like a champion, and yeah, you really sold it.
Yeah, nice.
But this set up another announced matchup at Night of Champions, because it is going to be Raquel Rodriguez against Rhea Ripley in a street fight. So I wouldn't be surprised to see more Judgment Day involvement with those rules.
So street fight to me, means no rules. You just go at it, no rules.
There's no rules, and like you can also like bring trash cans or chairs or table. Like there's no like disqualifications for using, like if Cena were to use the belt, like his finisher, he wouldn't be disqualified for it. It would be considered a win.
Okay, so why do they have a ref exactly?
Well, someone's got to whisper into their ears and tell them what's next.
Good idea.
All right. Well, we'll have again a prediction for this street fight on our predictions show, but in the meantime, we must get on with Raw, and we must get on to the King of the Ring semifinal matchup between Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. And it was Cody Rhodes.
For the win.
For the win. Nika called it. I went with Jey Uso. I was wrong.
Okay.
He will not get his rematch with Gunther via the King of the Ring tournament. But Cody Rhodes will advance to face Randy Orton, and they are not strangers to each other. Cody Rhodes has been called his protege once upon a time, I believe.
Oh, really?
When he first came into the wrestling profession. So they have some history and drama, as you like to say, Nika. So they should have no problems drumming up, a good matchup against each other, I would say. It's all about entertaining the crowd at the end of the night when it comes to the theatrics. And, when guys know each other well, it tends to lead to a better product because they know how to work with each other better. So let's hope that's the case. I think the men's King of the Ring tournament definitely has more high-profile performers involved in it. They also have a lot more high-profile candidates to choose from versus the women's division. So, but either way, I'm happy with the way both of these matchups turned out, and Asuka is apparently someone I need to keep an eye on more.
We haven't seen her because of her injury, and she's been around for a second, and she has a lot of championships belt under her.
Anyways, WWE's social media team posted this picture of Jey Uso pointing at Cody Rhodes here to show there's no hard feelings, Nika.
Mm-hmm.
These two are still going to be tight after this matchup. I believe the commentator with Michael Cole mentioned that they could go out and have a beer together after this match and laugh it off or something along those lines. But we'll wait and see. Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes still tight. No drama yet.
No, not yet. I don't think they want to write in a rivalry at the moment between these two.
Yeah, not to get too ahead of ourselves or anything, but we know we have the SummerSlam poster. We don't really have Jey Uso on it. Not to say he's not going to be a part of it. It's a 2-night event, and he's one of the biggest stars in the league. But we do have Cody Rhodes prominently featured along with Roman Reigns and along with CM Punk in the background. So as far as men that were featured on the initial SummerSlam poster, no Jey Uso, but Cody Rhodes for sure. Don't know if that's going to play into how this all plays out at all. A lot of people have commented and say it's just artwork. It doesn't matter. Okay, fine. Well, we'll see what happens. But Cody Rhodes getting the victory here and one step closer to being at that SummerSlam main event, perhaps with a title chance against Cena. So, or CM Punk. Wait for our prediction show, everybody. I thought this was overall a really decent show. It was better than it had been in the previous week. And
Definitely.
It picked up, especially with the mic skills. I mean, Seth Rollins always helps. But just the matchups were good, and the show had a good flow and good pace to it. I thought this was a good tune-up before the crew heads out and delivers this Saudi Arabia double event. We got Smackdown warm-ups on Friday, and then the big pay-per-view Peacock event on Saturday. Night of Champions. Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Crazy. All right, everybody. Well, that's going to do it for this segment, but let us know what you thought of Raw in the comments below. Was it a good show? Was it a bad show? Is the writing too predictable? Let us know your thoughts below. Thank you so much for participating, and we'll see you again soon.